Top of the morning to you, and welcome back to the Always Bayern Chelsea show. I'm recording this one here on Sunday, October 5th. We have a great weekend of football to talk about, one of the better weekends in the Always Bayern Chelsea channel career, because Bayern Munich crushed Frankfurt 3-0, continued this red-hot stretch that they're on, and Chelsea pulled to Chelsea, and they beat Liverpool, the best team in England, 2-1. On all fronts, this was a good weekend. I'm recording this one here solo, just me. Jim will come in and give you the Chelsea reaction as well once I get some footage from him. Both Jim and I were out of pocket this weekend. I was visiting my brother at college, baking in the sun, and trying to catch some of the match, but my phone kind of bricked up, so it was basically impossible to. And then I just watched it all after the fact in the middle of the night last night. So that's why this one is a little bit kind of pieced together. Jim's away at a wedding. So again, Bayern Munich looking great, and Chelsea just doing what they do. 1 week looking like a mid-table team, as many were saying, and the next week looking like the world champions. So it's going to be a fun one. And again, if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel. Please like, comment, all that stuff. Join the discussion, because Jim and I give you coverage every week, previews, reactions, all that good stuff. And this is going to be a good one. So let's just jump right in and start talking about Bayern Munich here. I'll start off with Vincent Kompany's lineup. You had Manuel Neuer continuing his, I don't know if I want to call it like a renaissance or a resurgence, because he was always great. He was always amazing, the best goalkeeper of all time. But he had some injury issues, stuff like that. And I feel like last year he never really got in a rhythm, where I feel like now he's just, he's like defying aging, defying physics, whatever you want to say. He's back, and he is great. And even though he never really left, I feel like right now he's really back. And it just goes to show how this whole team is just clicking together. Sacha Boey was the right back. Sacha Boey, I think, had a poor game. I think he had probably the worst game out of the starters. Michael Olise did not have his best effort either, so maybe it's a chicken or the egg situation, but that right-hand side, it doesn't work the same when it's Limer and Olise. When it's Limer and Olise, that right-hand side is so special, and I think Kompany, huge credit to Kompany, because he figured that out. He kind of unlocked that, and it just, Sacha Boey had a lot of poor passes in this one, just wasn't on the same page as the rest of the team, and unfortunately, I think he's going to be, well, maybe fortunately for Bayern, but unfortunately for him, I think he's going to be relegated to a bench spot now here after the international break, hoping we get Stanisic back. Eventually we get Ito, eventually we get Davies, and I think Kompany will have more options on that back line, and we won't see as much of Sacha Boey. While I think he has put in some good performances, most of them have not been the best. The center backs I thought were pretty solid, Upamecano and Ta. I thought Ta had the better game here. I thought it was a really solid effort from Ta. I thought Upamecano was overall solid, but at times sloppy, and I think Ta was just better on the day. Limer at left back. Limer, maybe not his best match, but a solid match from Limer. And again, you just see it, like whatever side Limer's on. Luis Diaz, man of the match. I'll give that out front here as a little bit of a spoiler, so sorry, but Limer's on that left-hand side, and Diaz is just, causing so much chaos and having a great match. So again, chicken or the egg? Is it whatever side Limer's on is just the better one? I don't know if it's that simple, but there's something to be said about what Limer does to that side of the attack. And really, a lot more of the attack ran through the left-hand side than it usually does. So again, credit to Connie Limer for that. The midfield was Kimmich and Goretzka. Kimmich, great match, I thought. Just, again, like he always does, controlling the play, dictating the pace, orchestrating the offense, the defense. Kimmich really can do it all from that midfield spot. And Goretzka, I thought, was decent, but again, it wasn't his best match. And I'm getting to the point with Goretzka where it's like, you know what you're going to get from him. It's a solid performance, but I do want to see more out of Tom Bischoff. I like what I've seen from Bischoff so far, and I'm getting kind of antsy where I want to see more from him. Olise, again, this was one of Olise's maybe worst matches of the year, which, again, Olise's ceiling is so high, and Olise's normal performances are so good that one of his worst performances does not by any means mean he was bad. It just means he wasn't the best player on the pitch, or one of the two best players on the pitch, maybe, because Kane is obviously always in that conversation. And Kane did it again today. We'll get to that. But Gnabry, I thought Gnabry had a nice match at the 10. I think he missed a couple that he should have made, or at least could have made. There was one that he should have made, and then a couple that he could have made. And but still was like playing super unselfishly, had that opening assist that we'll talk about, and just was working well with the team. And again, Gnabry is in this new 10 position, is playing so unselfishly and just working so well with the team. So credit to Serge, because he's a guy who you could definitely say is having a renaissance. And maybe this is contract year Serge Gnabry, but whatever it is, he's playing very good. And I think it's underrated how he can play a lot of different positions in that attack, and that's a guy that you like to have around as much as a lot of people probably don't want to hear that. Gnabry is a guy that you do want to have around, not on the salary that he's currently getting paid, that's for sure, especially because once Musiala comes back, he'll be more of a bench option, but he's a guy that you like to have around, again, not for what you're paying him right now, but you want to have a guy like that in your locker room, on your team. Luis Diaz was the man of the match. A brace, an assist, phenomenal match from Diaz in this one. Just, yeah, like this is what Bayern was missing at left wing, was Luis Diaz. The way he works, the way he is unfazed by misses, the way he can score, the way he can assist, the way that he too can play unselfishly and just work so well with this attack. I mean, it's unbelievable. You do not want to play this Bayern Munich attack right now. You do not want to play Vincent Kompany. And Kane at the 9. Kane at the 9, right? I said all this good stuff about Bayern's attack, and then you still have to deal with the best player in the world. You don't want to play this team right now. You do not want to play this team right now. Vincent Kompany, great lineup. He's got things figured out right now. The team is bought in, and he has the magic touch. He is unstoppable right now, Vincent Kompany and this Bayern team. So I love Kompany's attitude. He stays humble. He focuses on one match at a time. And you know, we do have Dortmund coming up next, so that'll be another good test after the international break. But Kompany, yeah, I mean, he gives all the credit to the players, but he is a special manager right now and the perfect manager for this team right now. So let's get into the match. Let's start to break things down. And you don't have to go very far before something huge happens, because we're talking 15 seconds in, off the opening kickoff. Neuer, I believe, goes right to Olise. Olise, maybe it's deflected off the defense, maybe it's right to Gnabry, but either way, Gnabry gets the ball, and you know, we'll talk about how great Diaz's second goal was, so don't think that I'm discounting Diaz's effort on this one, but this one was all about the assist. This one was all about Serge Gnabry. The move he put on the defender, multiple defenders, and then the way he slid the ball past 3 or so Frankfurt defenders right to Luis Diaz's outstretched foot as he was sliding in. I mean, it was just perfect. It was vintage Serge Gnabry, and again, he's a guy you want to have on your team. And the way him, Olise, Kane, Diaz, the way they're all working together right now, I just cannot say enough about how fluid they are, how great this team is right now, and it just gives you so much pride, because this team is fun to watch and they play beautiful attacking football. Thank you, Vincent Kompany. But yeah, then like early into the match, and this is when I'm trying to tune in, you know, tailgating with my brother at a college football game. And side note here, what a choke job by the Whitewater Warhawks. Up 17-0 at half, lose 23-20 in overtime. An absolute collapse by this team. So at least we had the Bayern Munich win and the Chelsea win this weekend, and the Milwaukee Brewers win. So we had some great sporting success. It was almost a perfect sporting weekend until that disgusting, pathetic collapse by Whitewater. But anyways, this is the point where I'm in the parking lot trying to watch on my phone. It's 85 degrees in October. The sun is burning me alive. My phone is probably 10,000 degrees. This old iPhone 10 here is it's bricking out, and I got to watch a number of minutes in the beginning, but it was almost impossible to see anything. But at this point, I was perplexed by what was going on, because you have that Diaz goal and the game is so open. Like, all these big events happen right in the beginning, and you're almost unsure of what's going on. I can't even remember the exact order of what happens, but Upa has a pass that's right to Frankfurt. They rip off a shot. Then they have another attack where Neuer has to slide out because of kind of another mistake. And Neuer slides out and just makes this crazy save, gets his foot on the ball. Lucky, crazy, whatever you want to call it. And then Kane has a shot, or Olise has a shot that goes off the inside of the post, and Kane almost gets the rebound and is able to put one up as well. And then Kane has an offside goal, and it's like, what's going on? Like, he was off, but there's all this stuff happening. It's end-to-end. Frankfurt scores, and it's 1-1, and you're like, what's going on? Bayern's arguing. I couldn't tell exactly what was happening. I'm watching on this tiny phone screen, and Goretzka gets a yellow card, which, funnily enough, when this happens, it just like kind of grinds my gears a little bit. But Goretzka is right. It's a handball on Frankfurt. The goal gets disallowed, and you get a yellow for telling the ref, hey, man, you got to look at this. This is a clear handball. And then he still gets a yellow. And I wish like they could retroactively redact the yellow cards if the players are right. It happened to Kimmich earlier this year, and it just always cracks me up. So Goretzka's right. He gets a yellow card. They look at it. Ritsu Dohan in the build-up play here, is trying to make a move on Limer, kicks the ball up, hits it off his left hand to control it, and brings it back down. And again, like, it's a clear handball. He's using his hand to regain possession of the ball. And unfortunate, because it was a great strike for Frankfurt to level it there, which eventually gets taken off again. But it was a great strike, and it was funny because everybody on Bayern instantly is like, yep, that's a handball. Goretzka gets the yellow, as I said. But at this point, no wonder my phone is blowing up, because it can't handle the amount of end-to-end action that's happening here. And then, as I watched the match later on in the dead of night here yesterday, I kind of see like this was the most chaotic moment of the match. This 10-15 minute period is not indicative of how the match was, but instead, Bayern second half regains, most of possession, and Bayern had most of the possession for all the match, but it wasn't end-to-end. Bayern began to kind of dominate and take things over more so in that second half, but even at the end of the first half. Just funny that's what I was watching live, and I couldn't tell what was going to happen in this match, basically. So anyways, we go to the 27th minute. That's when Harry Kane scores his goal, and he's the guy. He's just him. He's just the man. He scores every match, assists most matches, most of the time scores a brace, gets injured in this one, which we'll talk about, unfortunately. But this goal that Kane scores in the 27th here, assisted by Diaz. So shout out to Diaz for just continuing to put up a phenomenal performance. This goal was so pretty. It was so pretty. If you look at the angle from behind Kane, the spin that he puts on the ball, it spins the opposite direction you think it's going to, and just barely finds the corner of the net. I mean, we're talking so precise on this shot. And mind you, it's not a close shot. He's well outside the box, and he spins it around the defense, millimeters into the side of the goal. And it's like this kind of a goal, only the best player in the world makes this kind of a goal, at least consistently. And when he makes that goal, it's just one of those where he's feeling himself. He's the best. And everybody knows it's going in because of the level that Kane's playing at right now, the astronomical level that Kane's playing at right now. It's going in. Like, as the ball is on his foot, you know it's going to be some crazy shot. And I'm telling you, there might have been a tear that rolled down my cheek after that goal, because oh boy, it was just so pretty. And I would never tell you to stop watching this video and go watch that goal. After the last second of this video ends and you press subscribe and you like and you say in the comments, wow, Danny, what a great analysis. That was a beautiful goal. I'm so glad I listened to you. Then you go and watch that goal. You're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. I mean, whew. Boy, oh boy, was that a good one. Halftime, Kompany brings in Pavlovic for Goretzka. Good sub. I like the rotation in the midfield. I do. I like what I've seen from Pavlovic lately. I think he still has a little ways to go until he gets to that level that he was at times in his first season, beginning of last year before all of his injuries. But I like to see Pavlovic come in. Again, I want to see more Bischoff overall. I want Kimmich to rest a little bit more, but at this point, I understand bringing in Pavlovic for Goretzka here. I really do. Frankfurt had an attack or two right before halftime ended, I should say. Burkhardt missed a shot above the net, I believe, and maybe Uzun missed one too, but there were just a couple of decent attacks from Frankfurt there. But I think at a certain point, they start to realize that this Bayern team right now is just unstoppable, and they're, I don't want to say not going to have a chance, but I never really felt threatened by Frankfurt at this point. And Frankfurt, for what it's worth, has one of the better attacks in Germany, and I just never really felt that threatened by them because of how dominant Bayern's team is, but especially Bayern's attack. So this was just a great win. You see Rafa Guerreiro come on for Serge Gnabry in the 71st minute. And, Serge had a couple of misses in that second half again that I said I think he would like back. Kane had a blazing shot off the post. Olise had a shot or two that he missed. Diaz had a shot or two that he missed. So Bayern's attack was just, really, really humming at this point. Really humming. And then we do see Harry Kane go down injured. I can't remember if it was before the Diaz goal or after. I'll just talk about it before the Diaz goal because I think it was maybe slightly before. But this moment was a horrible moment. It was war flashbacks. My hand starts shaking. My stomach drops. I start sweating when I see this because this moment here was almost identical to how Jamal Musiala snapped his foot, how Donnarumma just recklessly flew into Musiala, snapping his ankle off the end of his foot. And to see that once to your star boy Musiala is painful enough. To see it happen to Kane, there were some nasty, nasty thoughts running through my head that I will not say necessarily on this show. But yeah, Santos, Frankfurt's keeper, goes out, dives at Kane, doesn't get the ball, just rolls into Kane's ankle, and Kane is on the ground screaming in pain, holding his ankle. And luckily, it wasn't the Musiala injury where his ankle is just gruesomely dangling on the edge of his leg. But yeah, Kane at this point, he needs help to get up. He needs help walking off the pitch, and it doesn't look good. Now, you see he's working on it on the sidelines, and it turns out that it looks like it's just going to be a knock. But in that moment, Bayern fans, I think we dodged a bullet, and Kane has to comes out for Jackson. But the way Kane's talking about it, it's not going to be something that keeps him out for that long. So we just gotta I guess wipe our brows because that one could have been really, really brutal. And I will say this directly into the camera: Thomas Tuchel, be careful with him over this international break. Bayern players and international breaks, they do not go well together because that's where we see all these horrific injuries for our boys. And Tuchel, please, 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 what happened with you and Bayern is in the past. I'm not going to say anything else about you right now, Tuchel. Me to you, okay? Man to man. Please be careful with him. Don't let your pride get in the way here. Do not ruin this season for Bayern Munich, because this so far has been a perfect season. Do not, Tommy Tuchel, do not play Kane recklessly. Be careful with him. No matter what he tells you, be careful with him. Please, 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 please. And this is going to be a special season if nobody gets injured. So Tommy Tukes, I beg you. Now back to the match. Diaz scores a phenomenal goal. Phenomenal goal in the 84th minute. This one was assisted by Guerreiro, and off of a Frankfurt mistake, Guerreiro gets it, takes the ball up the whole pitch. He's got options. Is he going to slide it to Olise? Pavlovic? Is he going to shoot himself? No, he actually slides it all the way out to Diaz, which I didn't think he was going to do that. So credit to Guerreiro for that vision, and I don't want to say trickery, but a little bit of trickery, because, yeah, I didn't think he was going to do it. And he finds Diaz, and Diaz just blasts a shot into the roof. A phenomenal shot by Diaz. This shot was so powerful, so unsavable, away from the keeper, into the roof of the net, and Diaz caps off his perfect day with a perfect shot and a perfect goal, and it's 3-0, and Bayern's humming, and this is a beautiful match. Later on, again, we see some more subs. Jackson has to come on for Kane. 88th minute, Tom Bischoff comes on for Sacha Boey, and Leonard Carl comes on for Luis Diaz. Not much happening in that match at that point for these subs to make much of a difference, good or bad. But I'm always happy to see Bischoff in these instances when Bayern's up by 3 goals. I'm always happy to see Carl, Jackson. So good subs there. I think Diaz is going to need a little bit of a break. I think Olise is going to need a little bit of a break. Obviously, I always say Kimmich needs to be rotated more, but Olise and Diaz have been used a lot, and these guys are 2 cornerstone pieces now for their national teams, Colombia for Diaz and France for Olise, where they're going to play every minute of every international break, so they're never going to get a break unless you give them a break, Kompany. So that's the one thing I will say here. They're starting to rack up a lot of miles, and again, I think Kompany's been perfect for this team, so I'm not like dissing him or anything. I'm just saying be cognizant of this going forward. And yeah, I don't know what else we need to talk about this one. Like, Bayern crushed it. Let's do some match awards. Again, I said Luis Diaz was going to be the man of the match. He is. 2 goals and an assist. Great game from Diaz. Kane's the Robin with his beautiful goal, no doubt. And again, just the way he contributes to this tack, point guarding things. Kane is Kane. Nobody else is Kane in the world. And then we're going to go Jonathan Tah for the defender. I thought Tah did very well. Underrated, maybe there's a couple guys you could give this to, so I'll let you choose, audience. You could give it to Neuer just because he was great, another clean sheet. You could give it to Gnabry for that assist, but I think I probably wouldn't give it to Gnabry just because of a couple of those misses and how he trailed off a little bit in this one. Kimmich, I think I would probably give it to Kimmich just because, yeah, it's Joshua Kimmich. The way he plays is so vital to this team. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there. Bayern has Dortmund next after the international break. Der Klassiker, that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a great one. And Jim will talk to you guys about Chelsea now because, yeah, 2-1 over Liverpool. Huge win. You got to love that, Chelsea fans. And let's hope they can continue that form, because if Chelsea can click, if they can utilize all this young, exciting talent, they're going to be a great team. And shout out to Esteval, the most talented player on Chelsea Football Club right now. Mia san Mia.
Up the freaking Chelsea. Are you kidding me, Chelsea fans? That win against Liverpool at the death. Esteval, the Brazilian phenom, Messinho, the 18-year-old, to win it against the Premier League champs, beating them back-to-back times. Even though we're not really the world champions, we didn't even beat the English champions. Shut up, Jamie Carragher. Shut up, Liverpool fans. Shut up, all the haters. Are you serious right now? What a job by Chelsea against Liverpool. What a job by Enzo Maresca. What a job by this squad of players that are playing for their lives when star guys are out for Chelsea. the Palmers of the world that are out hurt. Players are stepping up big time to beat the EPL champions. Man, what a time to be a Chelsea fan right now. Coming off a rough stretch of performances. We know my thoughts on this team have been brutally honest. I've been talking about how they're a mid-table team at best. And they showed me yesterday that maybe I was wrong. I know it was probably a little bit of an overreaction for me to call them a mid-table team, but I was just reacting to what I had seen with my own two eyes. And that was a mid-table team. So hopefully this can be the start of something great for Chelsea. And as they slowly nurse their way back to health and continue to play Champions League football and league play, cup play as well, this team could be something special, led by Enzo Maresca, my gaffer that sprints down the sideline to celebrate a goal, that keeps the run of red cards active, which is just a hilarious carrot on top for this team. So, let's get into it, because yesterday was a wild day for me. A lot going on in the sports world, a lot going on in my personal life. I was in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, about a 2-hour drive away from Milwaukee, at my cousin's wedding. As I said, it was a lot. It was a lot going on. And I'm going to take you through the day because I think it's important to show the passion that I had yesterday watching this team and the dedication that I'm always going to watch Chelsea no matter what. This game started at 11:30 Central Time in Wisconsin, and I was prepped to be able to watch for sure the first half and most of the second half. So I'm in my hotel room watching that first half, and it was a great first half, let's be honest. But I'm going to quick go back to the lineup because when it came out and I was walking around the streets of Stevens Point, I even texted Danny that I was pissed at Enzo Maresca. I did not like the lineup when I immediately saw it. And the reason for that was I saw Gusto and James, assumed that Reece would be in midfield once again, not his best position of right back. And so for me, I just didn't like the looks of that because I think he's best as a right back. But apparently Maresca agreed with me because he actually tucked Gusto into the midfield here alongside Moises Caicedo. And then you had Enzo in the number 10. Reece James was at right back, his best position. We know that when he's healthy, he's the best right back in the world. And I think he showed that again in this match against Liverpool. But quickly the rest of that back line, Achimpong, Badiashile, and Guerreiro, strong as ever. I think what Josh has shown us, even at his young age, he's up for the task. His ball-carrying ability, his height that comes in handy against some of these bigger opponents, he is a star in the making. I truly think he is, whether that's a right back, right center back, whatever the case may be, as a depth piece even. But I think he can be really special for this Chelsea team. So that was encouraging to see once again. He's done it against Crystal Palace and Liverpool. Those are pretty tough opponents. Two teams that have had a great record and run of play here in the Premier League this season. Benoit Badiashile. What more can you say about this guy over the last two matches? Benfica and Liverpool. Let's hope the injury is not serious. It was just a cramp, something light. Rest up over this break. But man, back-to-back, huge defensive performances. Man of the match type performances, really. And then Marc Cucurella. Has he been a star this year? No, but I think he showed why he's maybe the best left back in the world. Speaking of best in the world, Moises Caicedo in the midfield. I'll talk more about him all episode long, but wow. I mentioned Enzo, I mentioned Gusto, Neto, Garnacho, and Pedro up top. Hit or miss with these guys. The attackers for Chelsea over the last few weeks now have been hit or miss. Pedro, again, I think is struggling, but I'm hoping he rests up now over this break, and maybe we see a Guerreiro play with him at some point. If Pedro can get back into that number 10, it could be better for everybody going forward. But Garnacho, Neto, again, they had some moments, they had some not moments. I think they're both super strong out of possession, which is important for this Chelsea team, especially on a day where there weren't a ton of chances in the first half. They were doing other things. Garnacho was the better of the two, and I think Garnacho is showing us that he can be that left-wing presence that we need, that Enzo Maresca needs. So that's an important step there for the nacho cheese man. And I'm already just amped up right now, and I feel my voice is just going at this point. So let's just talk about this first half, because the way we're setting up, and And by the way, Liverpool did not start Wirtz, and Danny caught that, and I think it's hilarious, and flop, 150 million, flop. It's amazing at this point. 008, 007 for Liverpool, just a complete joke that he is right now. But this first half was pretty interesting. I thought Chelsea was able to kind of control things fairly well, but Liverpool had their moments too. Neither team was creating amazing chances, to be completely honest. I'm looking at the stats here. Basically 50-50 possession. Liverpool with 2 big chances in the first half. You had that Soboslai chance where it was kind of deflected off by Benoit Badiashile. I don't recall what their other chance was. Maybe that Isak header on that beautiful ball by Mo Salah, but really neither team had a wide open chance or anything crazy. Liverpool only with those 2 shots that ended up being 2 big chances. Chelsea with 3 total shots. Garnacho, I think, had 1 that he should do better on, but other than that, it was nothing crazy. But I liked the way Chelsea were playing in this first half. They just weren't leading into chances necessarily. The back line was strong, though. Benoit Badiashile really controlling things at the back next to Josh, but directing between him, Josh, Cucurella, Reece James. Thought that was working out really well. I think Sanchez as well, his passing in this entire match, but the first half especially, was spraying some long balls to Garnacho that were consistently beating Connor Bradley, goaded him into one yellow card there. They ended up taking him out and putting Soboslai right back because of what Garnacho was doing. So loved that from him and Big Bob Sanchez on this day. Moises Caicedo in the midfield was a machine, tackling, directing play. Anytime you can direct passes to him that will funnel through him, and then he can push up alongside Gusto, Fernandez as well there. And even Reece James can kind of tuck in, flop with Gusto at times. And I think you were seeing a lot of that, which was awesome to see. So that midfield for Chelsea at this point, whoever's been in there as of late has really been part of that cog and machine, which is awesome to see. Which takes us to that first goal for Chelsea, really, because I think it was Benoit Badiashile who tucks that pass in to Gusto, kind of 1-2 back and forth with Caicedo there, who drives it up, finds himself in a ton of open space. I'm not sure what they were doing here. It looked like McAllister got caught a little bit after the pass from Gusto, but Caicedo keeps pushing up, and you're thinking, okay, he has space here. He might be able to shoot or create something here. Does a little bit of a hezzy, a little bit of a fake, gets Van Dijk to fade even further back. Now, he wasn't going to step up in that moment as he's the last guy, but that was key, I think, to give himself even a little more space. And the Ecuadorian unleashes another amazing strike. I mean, this guy only scores bangers for this Chelsea team. The Bournemouth goal, the United goal that he has. Are you kidding me, Moises? That goal, when it left his foot, I screamed instantly. I'm just yelling, let's fucking go, in the hotel room. I'm screaming. I mean, it was a Holiday Inn Express, and you got the maids probably doing maid service. I'm thinking, who is this guy? What is he doing? What's going on? Is he celebrating his birthday? Is he celebrating a wedding? But, man, I was so psyched because the Chelsea team we've seen lately, it's been such a roller coaster lately, really going back to the Club World Cup. And to start off this match 1-0 against a team that has been in form. Some say they haven't been up to their standards, but they've been dominating the Premier League thus far with their late-game finishes. As I was saying, I'm getting ready in my hotel room. I'm starting to get my dress shirt on, some dress pants, my nice Adidas-looking fine shoes. And I'm just so ecstatic because Caicedo puts us ahead. And then the rest of the first half was kind of a cruise, They did have that one Isak chance, but nobody was looking too threatening, and you're kind of starting to feel a little bit comfortable, which wasn't maybe great if you're Chelsea, but at the same time, you weren't down at this point in the game, so that wasn't a bad thing either. And, then we see right at halftime, they do bring Wirtz on. They also make a sub with Robertson, Curtis Jones pretty soon after there in the first 10 minutes. So you're thinking, okay, is this going to be Florian Wirtz finally gets his first goal for Liverpool against Chelsea? Which would have been so devastating. I kind of joked with Danny that I was almost sure that was going to happen because you just know that he's been so bad so far in the Premier League, and you just know he's due for one at one point. And so I was really worried about that. Thankfully, that didn't happen. I didn't think he did a ton for them. He had some decent play right when he got on in the first minute, but ended up just into a Mo Salah miss that was really nothing at the end of the day. So, unfortunately, we did see in the 55th minute Benoit Badiashile kind of go down with what maybe looked like a cramp. I'm not exactly sure. I hope it's nothing serious, but at that point, Maresca decides to bring in Lavia, which I thought was very interesting. And, he didn't actually have any other center backs that he could have brought in, unless you consider Yoel Hato a center back. So, essentially what happens is Achampong and Reece James are playing center back. And then you got Gusto playing right back, Cucurella left back. And then you put Lavia in that midfield next to Caicedo. They completely ate together. They dominated the midfield. We've seen Lavia in the past, when he's healthy, is one of the best midfielders on this team. Him next to Caicedo is an absolutely electric midfield for this squad. So I was confident when he came in because you're up 1-0, looking to shut shit down, and that's exactly what he can provide for this team. His ball carrying, his passing, the way he receives passes, I think is the best out of any midfielder on this Chelsea team. Caicedo is super good at it, but the moves I've seen Lavia make in the way he can receive passes from center backs, right backs, left backs, whatever the case may be, is world class. I really believe it is. And if he can be healthy, this Chelsea midfield is so scary. I've talked about it before the season. This midfield has so much depth and energy and electricity that they can provide on any given basis. And it's going to be awesome if he can follow that Reece James path toward being healthy. I really hope that is the case for Romeo Lavia. 63rd minute. You have Josh and Reece, both right backs, to be clear. And they allow a goal. It's kind of a cross in. Isak taps it. Gakpo's able to shuffle it in. And I was pissed. I was really pissed. I'm still in the hotel. We're about to leave to go to a bar to watch the Brewer game. My dad and I. I'm dropping F-bombs. I'm ticked off. I'm thinking, oh boy, Liverpool are going to win this thing. This is just the way things have gone all year for them. Late winners. And let's be honest, Chelsea tend to panic in these situations. When one bad thing happens, we see many other bad things come along with that. The dominoes fall that way. That's just the way things have been going for them. And it's unfortunate, but that's what we've seen from this Chelsea squad. So that's kind of what I was expecting, unfortunately. My mindset at that point was, let's just go all out for this win. We need to bring on some guys. I talked about how I wasn't happy with the lineup to start the day. And that was because I wanted to see Estevao start. I think what I've seen from this kid has been absolutely sensational. The potential that he has, but the things that he's actually done on the pitch, too, have really been second to none. I think he's shown that in this time when we're without Cole Palmer, our best attacker, Estevao can pick up the slack there and actually be a world-class attacker for Chelsea. And we're ways out from that, but that's why I was upset as well at the start when he wasn't there. But over the next 10 minutes after that Gakpo goal, we see Hato come on for Achampong, who did leave with a bit of an injury. I'm not sure what's up there. I don't think it's anything too serious. We saw Guerreiro come on for Pedro. Fresh legs coming on, which is really key, hugely important there. Estevao on for Neto. Gittins on for Garnacho. And again, I think at this point in the match, you're thinking, okay, let's get fresh legs in the attack on because everybody's tired at this point. Liverpool are making some subs too. I'm trying to see who they ended up bringing on. My internet's the slowest in the world, so who knows if I'll ever see who they brought on. But loved the fact that Maresca was willing to bring on these young guys in the attack. Guerreiro, who presses hard. Garnacho was pressing hard on the day, but you bring on Gittins with fresh legs, one of the fastest guys in the league, because he can go right at defenders, right at right backs, where their right backs were struggling all day. Szoboszlai isn't the right back, let's be honest, and he was replacing Connor Bradley, who, as I mentioned earlier, had a tough day against Garnacho. So, really liked those subs from Maresca, and I think that's a really key reason of why this match then turned around at the end here. So, around this time, I'm in the car watching on my phone. We're going to this bar in Stevens Point to watch the Brewer game, which started at 1:08 against the Cubs. So we walk into this bar, and as we're walking in, Bush is rounding the bases for the Cubs. They go up 1-0, home run, first bat of the game. I'm like, are you serious? What more could go wrong? Chelsea are looking like they're about to lose. Brewers instantly down 1-0. This day could be an all-time bad day, an all-time bad sports weekend for me. But little did I know, my luck was about to change. We saw the bottom of the first inning. The Brewers run rampant on the Cubs, putting up 6 runs, 3 in the second. It was insane. I mean, you start off double, double, double. We're going nuts. Everybody's going crazy in the pub. I say pub. It's a bar. Let's be honest. It's Wisconsin. It's not Great Britain, but man, it was insane. And as this is happening, as the Brewers are going up on the Cubs, demolishing them at every turn, we're creeping into the 90th minute. Extra time. 7 minutes of extra time put on the clock. Chelsea are creating chances. Liverpool actually has some decent chances. Salah's firing shots hundreds of yards over the crossbar. He can't do anything in this match. Enzo gets a chance on an Esteval cross, back post, heads it into the post. Man. And I thought that was it. I thought that was match at that point. That was the chance for Enzo to be a vice-captain hero, to be somebody that we all remember as the man who took down Liverpool on this day. And there was only a few minutes left at that point. So I'm on a high. I'm kind of flustered, watching the Brewers, watching Chelsea on my phone. But next thing you know, Chelsea are kind of pushing the ball slowly. They have some possession here. Enzo is looking good on the left-hand side. Kind of gets the ball back a little bit. Guerreiro is there. Enzo finds Guerreiro with that ball across the face of the goal, and Esteval puts it in. And I couldn't tell right at the beginning because the way the ball kind of came out quick from the back of the net, I'm thinking, was that in? Was it not? And I see Esteval race off toward the corner. Enzo Maresca's running through my gaffer. The celebration was nuts, and I'm just yelling. I'm screaming. Everybody's yelling for the Brewers, so it wasn't even weird. I mean, it was insane. The level of passion and excitement that I had in those moments for the Brewers, for Chelsea. It was one of those moments I'll remember because I'm with my dad. We're having a great time. Vibes are so high. It's a wedding day. Love is in the air. It just does not get better than that in this world. We need to cherish these moments. This is why the highs are so freaking high. And yes, at times the lows are low. But when we get highs like this, let's cheer them. And let's enjoy them. Because Esteval, 18 years old, the Brazilian phenom, Messinho, what a player. What a ball by Guerreiro, first and foremost. And we finally have a guy at the back post. We finally have a player at the back post that delivers. In the 95th minute. I mean, scripts couldn't be written better than that. Scripts could not be written better. Esteval's first goal for Chelsea. He's going to have so many more. This kid has what it takes. You know, some have said in Brazil he wasn't a big game player. I think he's a big game player. You know, the guy scored against Chelsea with Palmeiras in the Club World Cup. That's not an easy thing to do. And it was a worldly finish. Now he scores against the Premier League champs Liverpool with 2 minutes to go. That's not normal. That is not normal at all. And we could be seeing the start of something special. The start of something absolutely special from this kid. I think it's going to be awesome to watch. It's similar for me to when Jackson Chourio started rising with the Brewers. And I just told everybody, watch his every at-bat because he's going to be special. And I'll say the same thing now with Esteval. Watch every single minute that he's on the pitch, what he can do, what he'll provide for this Chelsea team, the excitement, the thrill, the energy. And let's not look back because he's going to lead us to the promised land. And this Chelsea team didn't even have Palmer or Delap or countless other guys that are hurt at this point. No center backs. It's insane. It's insane. And Chelsea are in 7th right now on the table, but it's very tight. Arsenal are 5 points ahead in first. It's crowded right now in really the top 10. Actually, arguably, I'd say in the top 15. Leeds are in 15th with 8 points. That's 3 behind Chelsea only. So it's going to be a tight table. It's going to be one of those years in the Premier League where so many insane things happen. I truly believe that's going to be the case. So I'm ready for all that and for all that's going to happen as we head into this international break for Chelsea Football Club. And now it's time to talk about the team that I'm going to declare right now the best team in the world. I called them a top 3 team in the world last week, but after what I've seen from Barcelona this week, Bayern Munich are the best team in the world right now based on current form. And it's insane that I'm saying that based off the injuries that they have right now, especially to Musiala. But they are the best team in the world right now and a total favorite to do well in the Champions League. I'm not going to say they're going to win the Champions League yet, but I think they're slowly going to run away with the Bundesliga, and that's going to give them a huge advantage over some of these other teams in the Champions League that also want to fight for their respective league titles. PSG probably won't have that issue, but Barcelona, Real Madrid, I think they both will. Any English Premier League club will have that issue as well. Wow. Bayern Munich. This team is so fun to watch. Their attack continues to be electric in all forms. They got different guys who step up every single match. And yesterday against Frankfurt, it was Luis Diaz. And once again, Harry Kane. But on a day where Elise has kind of a lesser day, Serge gets an assist but doesn't do much else. The midfield was solid. The back line was solid. And Neuer was solid. But Luis Diaz steps up in a huge, huge way with an assist and a brace. This team just doesn't stop scoring goals and having fun out there on the pitch. It's truly amazing to see what this team does and the potential that they have, especially when guys like Musiala come back. If Jackson finds his potential, as I talked about last week on the pod, we could really be seeing the start of something amazing for Bayern. And let's talk through this match because it gets started in 14 seconds on an amazing note. Frankfurt, what are you doing? What are you doing to start this match? Neuer bombs it deep. Kane heads it. And then you can't clear it? They don't clear it. Serge picks it up, fires a great assist. Very similar to Chelsea's winner against Liverpool where Guerreiro goes across the face of the goal to Estevao. Serge right across to Diaz, who, in all honesty, kind of had a bad finish. It kind of went off his left foot and tumbled in, ends up going off the keeper's foot, but doesn't matter how the finish is because he puts it in the back of the net. And instantly, if you're Frankfurt and Frankfurt's fans, you're down. You're just down in the match. You're already going against a tough opponent in Bayern Munich, and now you're down 1-0, and it's going to be a long day for you. And that's what Bayern does to you. It's truly amazing what they're able to do to opponents and how they always start on the front foot and then keep pushing, keep pressing, keep scoring more goals. I mean, it's crazy what this Bayern team does. They have Kane, who controls things and is a great striker up top. Elise, who, again, wasn't great but is always threatening. You have to worry about him. Serge sometimes will drop deep. Sometimes will just push things through in the middle or on the left-hand side. I thought the setup today was interesting. The first 20 minutes were fairly 50-50 in terms of who was possessing the ball, who was looking more threatening. I think outside of that Diaz goal, Frankfurt potentially looked a little bit better in the first 20 minutes, but then the second 25 going into halftime, I think Bayern really started to take control, as we've seen them do throughout this season thus far. And to me, a big part of that was Joshua Kimmich. I love the way he starts so deep, kind of with those center backs. At times is in the middle between Ta and Upamecano. Sometimes he's on the right of Upamecano if Bowie's kind of tucking in. Limer, we know, loves to push way up on the left, but Kimmich, the way he dictates play, the way he sets things up, He's trying to bomb balls deep to Elise down that right-hand side. He's playing balls, to the center backs, out wide to Bouet or in the middle to Bouet, to Limer if he needs to. Goretzka is there in the midfield as well, and I think he was fine in terms of keeping the midfield stable, but Kimmich really is the engine for this Bayern team that keeps them chugging along. And there's no other way to put it because he's so important. If he gets really a consistent partner in that midfield, if it's Goretzka, Pavlovic, or Bischoff, this Bayern team, I really think they're already almost unstoppable, but they would be literally so unbeatable. Because if your attack is as strong as it is, and you put a top 5 midfield in the world together with that, whoo boy. And I don't think it's going to be Goretzka. I think, as I said, he's stable. You know what you get with him. If you're in a match where you just want that stability and you know what to expect, that's fine. Play Leon Goretzka. But I think I need to start seeing Bischoff a lot more because what I saw from him in a prior recent match, he's left-footed, Kimmich is right-footed. The dichotomy between those two in midfield could make things very interesting. And I think Bayern wants to see that in the long run. You slowly phase Goretzka out potentially, start to play Pavlovic a little bit more, start to play Bischoff a little bit more. I think that's what you're going to see. And, and we did see Pavlovic in the second half, and I think he had a better second half compared to the first half that Goretzka had. I just think his youth, his energy, what he can provide, we've seen flashes of him that are a lot more exciting than Leon, in my opinion. But that's not taking away anything from Leon and the current midfield, which is strong, as I mentioned. Now let's talk about Harry Kane, because last week I called him the best striker in the world. He still is the best striker in the world. What this guy does week in, week out for Bayern Munich is still not getting talked about enough. Danny brings it up all the time, rightfully so. Preach about Harry Kane all the time because the guy's insane. He's just insane. I'm sorry. He's insane. His goal today from outside the box. Yesterday, I should say. I watched it today. I watched it this morning on my way home from Stevens Point. He is unreal what he does. A low strike with some spin back to the right, corkscrewing in. Harry, stop it, dude. Stop. You're too good. I don't want to like you. I really don't. Former Spurs player. But you're so freaking amazing. And he should have had at least one other goal in the rest of this match. Went off the post. I think he had even maybe another chance at one point. I can't recall exactly, but he probably should have had another brace. And the fact that we're saying that all these games, the guy's nuts. I don't want to spend too much time talking Bayern. I already talked Chelsea for a long time, but the fact that this team just continues to dominate week in, week out is nuts. Luis Diaz adds one late in this game. Brilliant strike with his left foot off a nice assist from Guerreiro. Happy for him to get a brace because fans are always seeming to chomp at the bit for Luis Diaz's finishing, but he showed he can be unreal and world-class with some finishing. But I really just wanted to come on here and talk about Bayern's dominance because, man, what a team right now. Is anything going to slow them down? They're in this tough stretch. But realistically, what team's going to stop them? I'm actually asking that question. They play Dortmund at home. Dortmund ain't going to stop them. They're going to be in Munich. Nothing's stopping this Bayern team. I'm sorry. Resting up over this international break. Hopefully Kane gets some rest. I think if he's slightly hurt, he might not play for England. But Dortmund ain't going to stop him. It's just not going to happen. And then at home against Club Brugge, who, to be fair, have been playing fairly well in the Champions League. But they ain't going to stop him. No, sir. And then you go on to Gladbach, Köln in the Pokal. And once the calendar turns to November, we see Leverkusen on there and PSG. those could be the first two matches that I'm looking at where there's maybe some resistance to this force that Bayern Munich is right now, because I really don't see these next 4 matches being an issue for Bayern. The 2 semi-tough ones in Dortmund and Club Brugge are at home, and I just don't think they're going to have a problem with either of those. I really don't. You know, what Vincent Kompany's putting together right now, he's been able to rotate some guys, which Danny and I have talked about. We didn't even know if that was going to be able to happen. This team has what it takes. They are the best team in the world right now. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I'm not saying that to be over positive. You know, I've become a fan of this team over the last few years with this podcast. And this is the best that they've looked in my time of being a fan. Which, again, is crazy to say without what was supposed to be your second best, maybe best player out in Jamal Musiala. But instead, you have all these guys stepping up every single match to be the best that they can be. I'm happy for Bayern, happy for Danny, Mia San Mia, happy for my man Vonkon, who, by the way, has a great wife. I'll be respectful, but he's got a great wife. Looking good at Oktoberfest. Vincent Kompany, you are the man. Bayern Munich, you are the team right now to beat in this world. Congrats on a nice win against Frankfurt. What a day in sports. What a day yesterday was in sports. Brewers, Bayern, Chelsea. Man, what a time to be alive. Thanks for listening.